Welcome to Empowered Scotland's podcast, No Problems Here. Today I am joined by the lovely Lisa Llyod, and we're going to talk all things ASN, SEND, and also about her book that she's just brought out, Raising the SEND Betweeners. Good morning, Lisa. It's lovely to have you. How are you today?
I'm good, my love. Thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh, no, thank you. So, I'm sure most people will know who you are and you don't need an introduction. So, you're Lisa Llyod, also known as ASD with a G&T. And I would love for you to just tell us from the start what made you decide to start your platform on social media and sort of humorise the whole experience that we all go through.
Well, to be honest, I started out sort of by accident because I broke my leg and then I was stuck on the sofa. So I just started posting. And then the more I started posting about autism stuff, the more I realised, oh my God, there's a load of people feeling exactly the same as me. And especially with my kids, like where they're sort of in between, like they're verbal, academic, well, my boy especially. And there were a lot of pages about autism, but it seemed to be sort of high care needs, non-verbal autism, and I couldn't really relate to some of that. And I started talking about like when they're stuck at mainstream and things like that. And then there was this whole community of like people that are being let down by the system, like people not being able to get EHCPs, fighting for the diagnosis. It just seemed like, oh my God, there's like hundreds and hundreds of people all in the same position. And so it just went on from there, really. And I tried to bring sort of the humour side because it can be doom and gloom sometimes, can't
Yeah,
it? And
yeah,
it
very.
can be depressing.
You need the humour, and I think sometimes people feel it's a bit, first when I myself and the girls that we're in the campaign with, we have to have the humour because otherwise you go insane.
Yeah, you do. And because you're constantly like you're dealing with meltdowns and things like that. And then on top of that, you're having to fight all the bloody politicians and local authorities and things like that. And you can feel like you're going mad sometimes and like you're on your own and nobody gets it. And I just wanted to bring that funny side to just a bit of lightness for all the other STEM parents out there or and but also to try and grab other people because I thought if you don't come across autism, you're not going to care about it. That's just
Mhm.
natural human nature, unfortunately. And I was like, how can I grab other people so that they listen more and they understand more? And I think the way to do it is through humour a bit,
Yeah,
so they're interested in your videos and then they start listening more. I mean, some people are just dicks and they're never going to listen
yeah.
and never
You're
going to
always
care.
going to have
But
that. Yeah,
yeah, but some people it really like has opened their eyes a little bit more, and I think there are some good people out there that do want to understand and do want to know how to help and things like that.
yeah, no, definitely. And like I said, I came across you, and it kind of, I don't know if normalised is the right word, but it
Yeah.
made me feel like, oh, okay, because it is very isolating. It's a very lonely place. And I mean, I'll admit myself, prior to my own situation with my kids, I didn't have a huge understanding. And obviously, like, there's all the jargon. Like, so in Scotland and England, it's quite different. We've got two different systems. You've got EHCPs and we've got CSPs. So a coordinated
Again.
support plan. So we have the health part missing.
Oh,
Um, yeah,
I
and
didn't know that.
they're also not that accessible.
I
So
have, to be honest, I have heard that Scotland's even worse than England, which I didn't think was possible.
yeah.
But yeah, like it's shocking, like the amount of kids that are being let down. It really is.
And presumption for mainstream's fine as long as it's supported, and it's not supported. And we are the same. So as a campaign, what our kind of thoughts are is, you've got your provisions, and some of them are high care needs, and then you've got mainstream. There needs to be a middle ground.
Yes, Yeah, which we do have, and obviously I'll talk about this in my book because my boy has just got into one of those middle ground schools. There's hardly any of them, and they are trying to get rid of them as well.
Of
The
course.
ones that we do have, they're trying to make them just high care needs again. Um, so we've got that battle. So even when you're in a school, you've still got the fear that it's going to be taken away as well. And but these in between schools are incredible, and this is what we need, and definitely what you guys need as well.
Yeah.
Is where the ones, they need smaller classes. They need, I'm just thinking of all the things that my son's school does.
No
Is
fluorescent lighting.
yeah, things like that. Is the whole thing has been designed like around autistic kids. They've got individual toilets that don't have like hand dryers in them
Yeah,
and things like that. And it's just those little things, they
yeah,
don't have to do homework. They could go in a hoodie. It's like they make such a difference, and it means that the kids can actually learn and
yeah.
want to be at school. But
It would be
I think it's one size doesn't fit all for any kid anyway. I think the
yeah,
whole school system's bloody broken, to be honest,
yeah,
and they're just trying to. I mean, we have some classes of up 38 kids in mainstream schools. It's like it's a
with just
joke.
one teacher.
With one teacher and one teaching assistant, with
Right.
38 kids, and you've got about 10 of them are now SEN,
Yeah.
or what do you call, you don't call
So
it
we're
SEN, do you?
ASN, additional
Is it
support needs.
ASN?
Yeah,
Yeah,
ASN then, yeah.
yeah. So
So we have
you,
40%, I think 40% of each class or each school is an additional support need. So that could be, English as a foreign language, dyslexia,
really? And it's
ADHD.
40%.
Yeah. But what
Mm.
I mean, it's just what I can't get my head around is we know that these needs are being identified more. So there's such an increase, but let's remove all the
All the
provisions. And
help.
the thing about money everywhere, so I've got a bit of a thing like when we see like bridges and stuff being built, we don't need the
Yeah,
fucking bridges. We
yeah,
already have roads. We don't need them. And they just keep removing and removing provisions, making cuts. I mean, we've got a lot of places that have shut down here. And obviously, when you question Scottish Government, the whole name, so the name of the podcast is No Problems Here, because I'm sure obviously we've all came across that in schools, with local authorities, with governments. No problems here, it's fine. We're investing this amount of money, we're doing X, Y, and Z, we're wonderful, and there's no problems here. And you also get the same with sort of schooling, like teachers and different sort of school settings. When people are maybe trying to get a diagnosis for their child, no problems here. They're fine in school
yeah.
because, again, we've got a lack of understanding about masking.
That is exactly what I was about to say. That is true of children as well. And it's, that's why I call them the then betweeners, because like they're the in between kids,
Yeah.
but they don't get recognised because they're not, I think sometimes they expect them to be like every autistic child looks the same and everything like that. And like you said, with masking and things, we had this for so many years with Finn, where he was coming home and he was having the biggest meltdowns. He didn't want to be in school anymore, coming out with things that were like he didn't even want to be here anymore at like a really young age. I'd go into school and they'd be like, he's fine. He's really well behaved. He's getting. I'm like, but he's not. He's not okay inside. And this is where there needs to be so much more training and things as well on masking and understanding what to look out for with these
Yeah.
kids, because actually they're the ones that have all this anxiety. They're the ones that have the mental health problems and things, especially when you get into the teenage years and things. It's like it's out of
And
control.
they're holding it all together all day in school, and then when they come home, they just can't cope. And I think there is little signs that school staff could recognise,
Yeah,
because you can see that they're basically they're sort of over conforming and
yeah,
trying to completely hold it together.
yeah,
So yeah, but your book, you mentioned your book there. We can't not talk about your book. I mean, you've done amazing with that. So it's Raising the Same Betweeners.
yeah. which will
again, tell us.
is it going to be relevant to you guys with the sen? I need to
Oh,
change
no,
the
but it's the same.
ASN.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just different.
But yeah, it's called Raising the Sen Between Us, and oh my god, it's done so well. I can't even believe it. It's got like Sunday Times bestseller. But it's just talking about our journey and getting the diagnosis, fighting for the support at school, and all the other things that come with it, like holidays, family and friends. Because I think you find your circle gets a lot smaller as well when you have autistic kids, and it's like people don't understand, and you end up saying no to things, or you don't get invited to things anymore. And again, I wanted a bit of humour in there. I mean, there's some serious bits as well because I talk about my depression in the beginning and things like that. But I just wanted something that people could relate to and not feel alone, because in the beginning I just felt so alone, so isolated. I didn't even feel like I fit in the Zen world because I was like, my child isn't sort of severe enough. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So I
yeah.
didn't know where I fit. I didn't fit with the neurotypicals. Um, and where he was at mainstream and everything, we spent a lot of the time just watching all the other kids have their parties, him not being invited, nobody talking to me at the school gates, all of that. And
It's
you just
horrible.
feel so alone, don't you? It's
Yeah.
awful.
I think until you when you first enter this world, um, it can be. I mean, I don't know what I would have done if we hadn't ended up coming together and doing our campaign up here. I don't know what I would have done, because I think as well, when people don't understand, they give out all this advice, and I appreciate it's come from a good place, but to be
It's
able to chat to people and just
frustrating.
like the shoe thing, like obviously I mentioned to you the shoe thing, like everybody gets it, they won't put their shoes on sometimes, and that's normal for us. But for other people, oh no, just get them to get their shoes on. And then there's a lot of different things, like foods, you'll know.
Yeah, yeah. And everybody thinks it's the parenting where you're not being strict enough,
Mhm.
or you've just got to force it and things. Well, they don't realise, especially when dealing with PDA, like we spoke about, it's like you can be battling for hours. It's, and the meltdowns that come through. I mean, with Poppy, with her food, she's always been really bad with eating, and she literally lives off of nuggets and waffles. And any time that we did, because we've made loads of mistakes, and we tried to basically force feed her because we were so worried that she wasn't eating anything. She literally threw up. Like, and it's like we realised, okay, we can't do this. This is horrific. Like, we're not going to keep putting her through this. And, like you said with the shoes, we've gone around Tesco's before with her with no shoes
Mhm.
on. And it's like, everybody's looking at you like, oh, what a shit parent. Like, her
Mhm.
kid's
I
got
just
those shoes
pretend I
on.
don't know my kids in the shops. Like I literally, they get the wee trolleys and they run round the shop. And I've just decided now, because I know they won't leave the shop. So I just
Yeah,
let them run round.
I'm
And
not with
I was
them.
standing, no, I'm like, and I went with my friend actually the other week, and they were like whizzing round, and all we can see is there's like flags at the top of the trolley. And I was standing at the checkout, and a woman came up to tell the other women at the checkout. She was like, "There's a wee boy running about there with no shoes on." I was like,
Oh, could you go, oh, that's
oh,
terrible.
uh,
Terrible parent.
and then they say, "Oh, it's just in case there's glass," and I'm like, "Glass is the least of our worries."
Yeah, that's the thing though, and you realise you have to pick your battle
Mhm.
because you've still got to do these things. We've still got to get on with life. But what people don't see is that you've been battling all morning to get them dressed, teeth brushed, hair what brushed. Do you know what I mean? All of
Yeah,
these things, and then you get to the point where it's like, do you know what? If they want to run around bloody Tesco's with no shoes on, I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care at this
In
point
their
anymore.
pajamas,
Yeah.
no shoes, and running. Yep. No,
No, because
I'm.
you realise that actually you've got that win of getting them out. They're not having a meltdown around it. You could go and get your shopping done, and that's done. Do you know what
I
I
just
mean? So it's a win in itself.
And there's only so much your central nervous system can take
Yeah,
in a day. It's just, yeah, the challenges and the battles. You just, yeah, I'm with you. And again, that's what's nice when you come, because obviously you're part of Centre Form England,
yes,
and
yeah,
obviously that as well as a community, just having these people to talk to that are understanding of what's going on. And I think as well, it doesn't matter what level your child's needs are. There's no judgment.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
just gets it.
That is the thing, and that is why you so desperately need these people, because that's why we're going to try and do like some coffee mornings and things like that with STEM reform, just to get people together. Because,
Mhm.
like you said, it's like you just don't feel that judgment there, which you get so often. That's
Mhm.
why I love like going to SEND sessions and like quiet hours and quiet sessions and things like that, soft playing things,
Yeah.
because nobody cares. Like there's all kids having meltdowns, there's one hanging off of something, and you know what? Nobody cares. Nobody's looking or judging.
Yeah. And that's it, the judgments. It's and I think it's hard as well because you feel you're having to explain yourself a lot. I don't know if you kind of relate to that, the having to explain yourself and explain your kids to other
Yeah.
people when you really shouldn't need to.
No,
If people
I
should
mean,
judge us, especially if it's friends, if it's your friends or family, you shouldn't need to explain yourself and what
yeah,
your
I
parents'
mean, I
skills
was terrified in the beginning because I felt sort of guilt all the time because and worried that they weren't behaving the way they should behave, like around family and friends and stuff. And even just with like unwrapping presents and things like that, I would dread it because I
are.
know they're
Yeah.
not going to react
Mm.
how people would expect them to. And it's
Just
like,
gets
and
put on the floor, moved away.
yeah, and then, or they'll chuck it,
Mhm.
they say
I don't
shit.
like it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh my God, and like you're desperately thinking, please don't make us unwrap this while you're here. And
Yeah,
you can see that everybody's like, oh, it's fine. But you can see that they look hurt. And it's like,
yeah,
but our kids are just they say it as they see it. Do
that's
you know what I
it, yeah.
mean? And if they don't like it, they're going to say. And it's sometimes it's just that they need time, and they'll come back to the present
Yeah,
and things like that. But people just don't get it. Whereas I think with neurotypical kids, they sort of learn to say thank you and to look grateful and everything like that. Whereas
thank
our
you.
don't fake it. Do you know what I mean? They just don't
A
fake anything.
pre-warn. I think you sometimes as well just a wee pre-warning. I started to kind of do that, just to let you know. They might not look
Yeah,
at it now, but they will
yeah,
like it and they'll come back to it. Yeah. But
yeah.
again,
But then that's exhausting in itself, though, because you think, why should I have to keep explaining it over and over and like apologising for them? Because that's what I
yeah,
did in the beginning all the time. And a lot of the time, I would even make up things sometimes and be like, oh, they're not very well, they're not feeling very well today. That's why they're behaving like that. And it's like, and they were actually fine. But I was like, why do I have to keep apologising on behalf of my kids just
yeah,
being them? It's
yeah,
like the rest of the world has got to start understanding and being more accepting rather
definitely.
than them having to change.
And the other thing I was wanted to ask you, so you are autistic yourself and
Yeah.
ADHD?
Well, I think I'm ADHD.
Right.
I haven't typically, I haven't got round to referring myself for it.
Of course you haven't.
The other one, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't. I keep putting it off. Um, but yeah, I only got diagnosed with autism a few weeks ago. But I
Mm,
was actually shocked because I thought it was ADHD and not autism. But now a lot of it makes sense
right.
because looking back, I mean, there were so many things similar to the kids, like my eating. My mum took me to the doctors and things because I was tiny and barely ate anything. And if routine changes and things like that would upset me, I wouldn't go to the park or play dates or parties because of the other kids there. Thing is, people think that I'm really confident because I do things like these and I'm on social media and everything. But I'm really not. And it's like the assessor made a really good point. She's like, you've chosen a career where you're now at home on your own, not working with anybody else. And I was like, God, that's so true. Like, it's like the perfect one.
Yeah, yeah,
But then people think I'm confident, but it's because I'm in my safe space, like
yeah.
behind the camera.
I think people that come across like super confident are actually the most critical of themselves. So,
100%.
so was it
Like
through your?
even after this, I will rethink. I will overthink this and
Oh,
ask
I always
myself,
think it
like, oh,
different.
was I rude to you? Did I say something wrong? Was I really bad? Do you know what I mean? And I will go over and over it afterwards.
Yeah, I'm waiting on my own ADHD diagnosis, and I think it was through the kids. And I, one of the mums had came back to mine for a coffee one day, and she was chatting about ADHD, and I looked like an absolute dick because I was basically referring to my son. So when I was
Yeah.
responding, I was like, "Yeah, he's really like that. Yeah, he does that." And she eventually said, "I'm really sorry, but I'm actually not talking about him. I'm talking about you." And I was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Okay." And I knew, I mean, I'd always had like quite bad anxiety and I'm talk 100 miles an hour and I don't know what I'm talking about. And now looking at the bigger picture, it's like, oh God. So I said to a couple of my friends that night, like friends I've had since I was really young, I was like, "I think I've got like I'm ADHD." And they were like, "Do you want the honest answer?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." They were like, 100%. We're like, "We thought you knew." They said they thought I knew. And I was like, no, I didn't like and now I'm like, "Oh my god," like, I really it's, like, quite wow,
Yeah.
like and I think
And it is, and I think the reason that we sort of realised it as well when we've had the kids is because to us it's just the norm. Do you know
mm,
what I mean? Like how we are is obviously all that we've ever known. And then when you have the kids and you're looking at them next to their peers and things, it's like, oh, not everybody behaves like this. And
yeah,
it's like, oh, but I've always behaved like this. And I don't know about you, but I've now seen it loads in my family as well. Like all of it, like
yes,
everywhere now.
and I think once you see it, you can't unsee it. I think you have a kind of radar almost,
Yeah,
um, because I also think we do kind of magnetise towards each other,
definitely,
because I
definitely.
think
And
you
my
straight
kids
away
do at the park as well and things like
mhm,
that. Like if they ever talk to another kid or are bonding somehow, I'm always
yeah,
like, oh, that's another neurodivergent child because you can sort of pick up on it, can't you?
yeah, and I think they probably the kids kind of respect it, they get it with each other, so there's a
Yeah,
kinda respect there. Almost, I
yeah,
mean, we can have incidents with being smacked on the head, but that can happen with any child, but you know what I mean? Like, there's a kinda they know when each other wants their own time because they understand wanting your own time, whereas not all neurotypical kids, you know, sometimes they'll have a play date and they play together the full time, whereas neurodivergent children, they'll play for a bit, they'll have some time on their own. Like,
on
and
their
that's
own.
kinda it's totally
Exactly that.
understood and respected.
Yeah. And it's funny watching Finn now because obviously he's at an autism school now
Mhm.
and he's got other autistic friends and they're all sort of just talking about what they want to talk about to each other in turn. So they're getting out what they want to say. Nobody's really listening to the other one, but somehow that's been like a nice
Yeah,
friendship between
yeah,
them. It's
yeah,
like they're able to just get out what they want to say without any sort of anybody giving anything
yeah.
back, which is fine by them.
Have you noticed a difference in Finn since he's went to this school then?
100%, like
Yeah.
100%. He is. I didn't realise how much he'd lost his personality at mainstream. I knew it was taking a toll, but I didn't realise how much until he went to this secondary school and he was suddenly laughing again. I hadn't heard him laugh for a long time. And he's got a friendship group now, and his confidence, like, he's just so much more confident. And I just honestly, I've sobbed so many times about it because I was like, I can't believe how much we'd lost of him. And it breaks my heart because there's so many other kids like that that is just going to go the whole way through
Mm.
having to hide who they are, having to pretend, and like never getting what they should have. And going around this school, honestly, it was just like heaven for
It sounds like
neurodivergent kids.
we definitely need more of those everywhere
Oh,
across the
there's
country.
so many of them.
I
And
don't know. What do you think? Sorry, on you
sorry, this
go.
would be us with the ADHD now, just chatting over it. No, I was going to say, like, the thing is, if you do like an environment in a school that is neurodivergent friendly,
Yeah,
that is going to be good for all the kids, but
100%.
and including the neurotypical ones as well. It won't have any bad effect on them at all. But
No.
obviously, doing it all based around neurotypicals, it has a really bad effect on all the autistic and ADHD kids. So why are we not changing how it looks like on the whole?
What do you think it'll take for them to for government to listen? I mean, it's like ping pong here. I don't know what it's like in England, but in Scotland, it's goes ping pong between Scottish government, local authorities, schools, and then it just
Yeah,
goes like this. And obviously, the local
constantly.
authorities are accountable for schools. Um, but I just don't know. When I just feel like it's right there in front of their faces that this isn't working, and they're
Yeah,
having like they have in these different inquiries and up here, and they'll have like different expert bodies coming and giving evidence, but they need to speak to the parents. Where are we in all of this? We are the
yeah,
experts.
exactly. And the problem is, I think all of them that get into power are looking at short term money saving, and we need them to look at long term, because long term is where it's going to have the biggest effect. Because they're all about saving money and everything like that. They're wasting so much money on tribunals,
Mm,
which are usually one in the parents' favour anyway. They are wasting money, like you said before, on things that are not bloody needed. Swap
mm.
some of that, exchange some of that money over and put it towards our most vulnerable in society, surely.
Because then
And the thing is,
long term, that actually the outcomes for these children that aren't getting their needs met, and there's some, as we know, that don't go to school, can't go to school because it's the
which
wrong
means
environment, and
the
they're
parents,
traumatized.
yeah, which means the parents are then giving up work. So the parents are going on benefit. The
Yeah,
kids will come out of school without any qualifications or anything, so they won't get a job, won't get benefits. The long-term effects are going to be huge from this whole generation that is being let down. But because they're only in power now, they only care about saving their pocket now. And that is the problem. And the problem is our kids are treated like a statistic and like a burden and everything like that. And they're not looking at them as like individual people.
yeah,
And I don't know. I honestly don't know what the answer is, apart from we keep campaigning, we keep shouting about it, we keep putting it in the press, and that's
yeah.
all we can do.
Because that's the same. It's got to be voices en masse. It's just,
Yeah,
and I think there's so many parents that they don't have anything left in them at the end of a day to
yeah,
keep fighting. There's some that, and understandably, there's some parents that have got and carers that have got two, three, four kids, all with different needs, and a couple of kids maybe not in school, and it is
yeah,
just exhausting for them. So, and also I think what we've obviously spoke about as well, what we've discovered is a lot of parents that then go, and they have a light bulb moment and they realise that they're also neurodivergent, which can
yeah,
be really overwhelming when you've got the overwhelm of the fights and the emails and remembering everything. And it is like
100%.
you said, nothing is a given. Nothing at all is a given. It's a fight. You fight for absolutely everything from start to
Yeah.
finish.
And like
And
you said, with paperwork and things like that, if you've got ADHD and things, that is one of the hardest things
mm,
to navigate yourself.
yeah,
And And looking into, I mean, a lot of us have to basically become bloody lawyers and look into the law and the legalities and things like that. It's like, it's
Yeah,
too much. It's too much while you're trying to raise your kids as well at the same time. But that's why we need more people that actually like neurotypical parents of neurotypical kids, teachers, all of that needs to come and fight with us
yeah,
because actually it is affecting their kids as well. Because, like we said, we've got more and more children that are in mainstream that shouldn't be in mainstream. These are going to disrupt the mainstream kids. It's going to mean that the teachers can't cope as well. And it's like we need everybody to fight, everybody to come together about this because it is having a knock-on effect to them as well.
yeah. Because I know up here, teachers are just scunnered. And do you know what? I
Yeah.
don't blame them. You can't, one teacher with a class of, we've got up to kind of 30, 25 to 30 here. It's not a realistic task. They
No.
can't teach these kids and support them. And there's teachers not getting jobs here. I mean, I'm in Glasgow, and in Glasgow alone, they just keep cutting things.
Yeah.
And there's teachers sitting on supply lists, not knowing when they're going to get work. And that kind of then demotivates them. And we want more in the profession and more training. And yeah, it's it is just a bit of a sorry state. I don't know
Mhm.
what the answer is, but I just do feel like everybody has to just get behind any campaigns, whether it's
Yeah.
Send, ASN, everyone needs to come together and tell the local authorities and the governments that it's just not acceptable. And again, if you look at the kind of costs long term, like we said, you're just going to have all these people that have not managed to get an education because
Yeah.
they've been let down by this current system, and they're going to be at home on benefits, and it's a no
Stuck.
brainer.
And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the thing. And it's like it's letting down everyone. And I think the good thing is I think it is getting in the mainstream more. I think it's then and ASN and everything is being spoken about
Yeah.
more and more. But it really needs to get out there. And that's what I mean by everybody needs to join the same
Mhm.
fight. And I don't know what it would take. I mean, think about things like teacher strike or something like that, um, which will affect everybody. I don't know
Yeah.
whether it needs to be something more extreme like that
Yeah.
to get people to listen.
And do
But
you
then you
guys?
don't want the public to turn on you though as well, because that's the
Yeah.
worry. You do the teacher strikes and then everybody will turn on
Yeah.
us. But I don't know.
I know, it's just, I find it so soul destroying. There's one part of me that loves and enjoys the fact that I'm doing something, because I couldn't sit. I don't work at the moment either, so but this has become like a job, and I couldn't sit and not do something. But then
Yeah,
on the other hand, I completely appreciate people that, like I said earlier, that just don't have it in them to do it, because it
no,
is. And I think it can also be so soul destroying when you're trying every day and being gaslit and being, I mean, obviously as well, there's some parents that don't have a great team around them. They don't have great support. So then they're putting a parenting course, which
ugh,
is,
the
yeah.
bloody parenting courses. I mean, that is another thing that I
I
think,
think
what a
it's one
bloody
of
waste
your
of money.
I think you done it. I think, did you know you've done a video? You've done a video that was on TikTok and Instagram of a parent course, and I remember laughing because
Yeah.
they're all so like they're all so relatable. The one of the other ones that you done was in fact, it's when I first came across you, somebody came in and you were pretending to be the GP
Oh,
about
right.
them
Yeah.
getting the diagnosis.
I know.
But you
I
kept
do
saying, "Oh,
love.
so eye contact." And
Yeah.
everything's so relatable because it is. That's how it is for people.
That's
And I
the thing.
think
And it
unless
does feel that way, like you're being gaslit all the time. And it's like, because everybody wants to just fob you off to the next person. Do you know what I mean? Nobody wants to actually deal with it. And all we're ever told is that it's our fault. It's something that we've done wrong. And I think that's what the parenting courses do, is basically is trying to say that we've done something wrong. I
Mm,
mean, I was offered the parenting course after Finn got his diagnosis. He didn't get his diagnosis until he was 6. And they were trying to tell me about, like, sensory issues, like, they may not like noise. I was like, "I've been doing this for 6 years. I've been bloody doing it for 6 years, like, yeah, I know he doesn't bloody like noise. Like, I found that out by now. Like, how's this helpful?" And then I think, that's another bloody waste of money that's
I
going
know.
towards
And
them.
resources. Somebody having to go and deliver the course, stick them in and help them to be on the diagnostic team, get them doing paperwork or something.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's like, and, you find some of these people running them as well don't even have an autistic kid or know
I
anything
don't
about it anyway.
and if you came across as well, we've spoke a lot recently to the parents that we're involved with, and we get a lot of people that professionals will tell them how much training they've had,
Oh,
24 hours
yeah,
autism training, and then some of them believe they're experts.
yeah, yeah. I did half a day training, I've heard quite a lot, in not just autism, but all, like,
Covering
additional
everything.
needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can imagine, like, I mean, how many different disabilities and additional needs are out there, and I've had half a day training. I'm like, I don't even know what you'd cover in that at
See,
all.
they should do it like a survival course and they come and stay in our homes for a week.
Oh god, that'd be amazing. Can you
They should
imagine?
actually do a TV show like that, shouldn't they? Put all
Yeah,
the professionals and put them in with us like an ASN SEN family for a week, but the
they'd be
parent steps
broken.
back and
They would
lets
be
the professional
broken.
put their
Yeah.
policies into practice.
Oh, this needs to be done.
No, that has to be done.
100%.
It would be brilliant. It would be such good viewing. It would be an
Oh, it
absolute
really would
shit
be.
show, can you imagine?
But literally, like, I would just be like, take them to soft play and see how you, even if it's for an hour, do you know what I mean? See how you get on.
Yeah.
Like,
They come back,
honestly.
they had no shoes on, they wouldn't get in the
Yeah.
car, the seat belts were off. I can't go with you're like, "Yep." Oh, it would be great,
All
that's something.
scratched
We
down
should
their
do that.
face and,
Yeah.
oh, it'd be amazing.
Flustered, it would be just like yeah, I would love to see that. But that
That'd
is
be
what
brilliant.
happens ultimately, you have people and you get a lot of nodding, "Yeah, I know." And, they've had lines like, "Don't worry, we've had" you know, you get a lot of kids like them or a lot of kids like him. I've dealt with them all the time. Parents are
Yeah,
coming to us sort of saying these things and you're like, "What?" Like,
yeah.
it's mind
The
blowing.
the
My
amount
face
that we
isn't good.
hear is just like, I mean, always the classic is they don't look autistic or, everybody does that. Um, we
Oh,
hear
we're
so
all a wee
many
bit
things.
autistic.
Yeah, yeah, and
No, we're
it's like,
not.
it's so frustrating because it's like you've got no clue what we go through behind closed doors. No clue of how rigid our routines have to be and certain things that we have to do, and it's just the thing is, I think some people don't mean bad by
No.
it. I think some people are saying it to try and be like, "Oh, well, we all get it and everything," but
Mhm.
it doesn't help because it's like it then sort of making out that it's not a disability, it's not hard work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Do
it's
you
like,
have do you
gone.
ever sorry, I knew I was gonna the 2 of us would be like this. If I don't say it if I don't say it now, it'll go. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, no, train of thought. Come back, come back. Shit. Um,
Anyway,
oh, that's what it was. So with the kind of PDA language type thing, when people do you ever find yourself when somebody goes to say something to one of your kids and you're just like, "No, please don't," because it's just not the right thing?
yeah,
Um,
all the
and
time.
yeah, I feel like that's another thing you can see with parents and even myself. It's like somebody will go to say a certain line to your kids, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"Oh no."
It's
Mm,
even with, like, praise and stuff like that,
mhm,
like, like, Finn especially, he didn't, and I'm sure he's got PDA as well now, but he never liked people congratulating him or
mm,
anything at all. And so I remember, like, with my mum and dad and stuff, he would do something well, and they'd be like, "Oh, well done." I'd be like, "No, no, don't say it,
That would
don't
needs
say
to
it." And
keep it
they'd be,
very
yeah, just be very like, "That's good,"
mhm,
and that's it.
mhm,
Like, don't get overexcited about it. And people are so shocked when you because I think these are such learned reactions and everything
mhm.
that like singing happy birthday and stuff like that. It'd be like, "No, we're not singing happy birthday. We're not acknowledging it." So, like, that people kind of want to do it for their own sort of selfish reasons as well.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, I think you said earlier they feel a bit upset and they feel like it's something they've done when
yeah,
actually it's nothing to do with them.
no,
Kids will be like that no matter who it is.
yeah, that's the thing. And but people really do take offence and
Mhm.
think it's like an insult to them, and it's
Yeah,
like that's just the way it is.
yeah. I was going to say something else. I just had it there and I was like dead excited to say it and now it's gone again.
I think it's what I was talking about with me with the perimenopause. I keep getting halfway through, and then I can't remember what I was saying at all.
I think that's what makes ADHD stand out slightly more
Yeah,
as well, because I was trying to explain to somebody, it's like, people use the line tabs open, but it's not even just tabs open, it's every single thing that you have to do for the next few hours of your night and the next morning. Plus, then it just, oh, it's just crazy. It just
it
feels like,
is.
like a fast forwarded like music. I was going to say a music tape. Like what age am I? Fast forwarded music
But
tape.
the old cassette tape.
Not even a CD, but it was like when it goes. That's
Yeah,
kind of what happens sometimes, and it's like, get me out of this brain.
but that is one of the things that people think why people think ADHD people are rude as well, and I'm like this is because of us interrupting and, like, making it about us and stuff like that, but I do it all the time because I have to get it out because otherwise it's gone.
Yep,
Like, when somebody's talking about something that I can relate to, I would then jump in there and sort of take
yep,
over the conversation. Do
yep.
you know what
And that's
I
how
mean?
we empathise because we are looking at it from a place of that's our empathetic response because like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that happened to me. And you can see people like rolling their eyes. They usually fucking goes again talking about herself.
yeah,
But it's not, it's just
it's gonna be gone again in 5
yeah,
minutes, and you'll
yeah,
never get that conversation back again.
yeah. But it's like you said as well, what's really common is to walk away from a conversation, a situation, and then you dissect it.
Yes. Oh
Maybe I
god,
shouldn't have
so
said this.
much.
Did I speak too much? God, did I talk too much? Should I have let them
Yeah.
speak too yeah. Yep.
Okay, do you practice conversations beforehand as well? Like, if I'm on
Yeah,
my
but
way
that
even to
makes me
friends, I
yeah.
will be on my way to meet them, and then I will be, like, practicing some of the things that I'm gonna talk about.
Sometimes I'm kind of like mainly for these kind of things, I'll do that. Like I'll try in my head, but I found it makes me worse.
Oh, really?
Because then it starts as if I start opening up more
Yeah.
more kind of ideas and conversations. So I'm just like, no, just
Yeah, that is true. See,
yeah.
I don't know,
It
maybe
starts to
that's like the
spiral.
autism side with me, with like
Yeah.
the social, because I always have to practice what I'm gonna say beforehand, and I will have sort of like a mental list of topics that I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk about, even if it's with friends and family. It's so weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, like I said, it would be quite magnificently disastrous because it would just be like I can try. So, like I said, I've tried, but what I'll do is I'll put down like key points if it's something that I want to speak about, or like we have a parent Zoom or whatever. Like I can put things down, but then I found like I have to just stop because then that's when I can just go off and it's not even anything relevant.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
then so many other things start pinging open. Like, we had a parent-led Zoom last night, and I came off of it, like, I was so inappropriate. Like, I was inappropriate. I remember on like
Think
and I
about.
the more do you know the way the more I started talking, I was like, "Oh god," like, in my head, I was like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
And I don't think anybody will even find it as bad as me because I'm my worst critic.
yeah.
So I basically normally just come on, like introduce the Zooms and then let they have their place. And then I just like swung my big glass of Prosecco into the camera and was just like talking absolute nonsense.
But
Like,
another thing that I do is I overshare.
oh,
So, are you bad with that? Because I would
I'm
literally,
terrible. The first
oh
thing I
my God,
told you
it's
I was having a hot
awful.
flush, but I
Yeah,
find
see,
that
that is what
normal.
I'm like. And so I went to this charity event, this charity ball, and they had me as one of the speakers there. The first thing that I said when I got up on there was I was really scared and had a nervous poo. I was like, why did I say this? But like literally to everybody. And
Yeah, I'm very bad for
it's terrible.
oversharing.
It just all comes out.
And it's so hard because once you start, I think you just start spiraling and
Yeah. Then you just keep going. And it's like, it's awful.
like I feel like at some time if I was been picked up before that I tell people like a rundown of what I've ate, what I've drank, how many washings I've done, each movement, what step, and then I watched this and I did that, and it's like
Yeah.
I think I drain
The other
souls.
person's like half dead. Like,
Ah,
finished
like
with the conversation.
I wait for a lie down into Annandon.
Yeah. Oh, I love
So
it.
that is the oversharing. I don't know what
Yeah,
we were
but that
talking
is
about.
what I always do. I always overshare. And it's like, but I think that's where I've struggled with friendships and things as well, because I think like people what I found is people don't like that honesty. And it's like
Yeah.
I've always been like really sort of blunt and honest. I've been like, oh, if your boyfriend's a dickhead, or like, do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like, I've voiced my opinion. A lot of girls I've found will be like, that's it, you're cut out. Won't talk to you anymore. And it's like I'm like, oh, I was just trying to be
Yeah.
helpful, whereas I didn't realise everybody else is like just going along with what they're saying.
I
It's
think
what they want to hear.
it's much easier though if you've got friends that are similar because then you don't
Yeah,
it's like you can be unapologetically yourself.
yeah,
Because you
exactly.
like I wouldn't because I know that like certain people I speak to are similar, it removes the barrier of me having to kind of analyze a conversation because I know
Yeah,
they're the same.
yeah,
Maybe
that's the
not like
thing.
the same things as each other.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing, and that is the beauty of it. And I think that's why, even though your circle gets smaller, it it's the best circle. Do you know what I mean? It's like you get rid of fucking acquaintances and people that you have to make an effort with and stuff like that. You just don't want that, like especially when you've got kids like ours and everything like that, and you've got the stress and all of that that goes with it. You don't need to meet up with people that's going to be stressful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you need to be able to have friendships that are sounding boards that you can just go, oh, and get it out your system and
Yeah,
no judgment. The judgment has to go. And I think what happens is you probably start to kind of, like you said, you avoid these people
yeah, yeah. You
because
do,
you
you
just
do.
ended it's going to judge you or give you the shitty. Again, there's something me and Joe spoke about the other day. Joe's who started empowered with me, and we were talking about the you need to, you should. Well, if I was you, and all the shitty things, and again, people don't always mean it,
Yeah,
but really, it can make you feel like shit
yeah. It can, and it's like people think. I think the thing is, people think there's a fix to everything, and it's
and a
like
cure.
sometimes there isn't a fix. It's like you've just got to live through it. Like the kids, with their sleep issues and things like that. Sometimes you've just got to ride it out, and like there is no answer. There's no reason. There's no, people go through. Have you tried a bedtime routine? Have you put them to bed earlier? Have you put them to bed later? Have you tried this? Have you tried that? And it's like, actually, we've tried it all. And it's
Yeah,
like, do you not think we would have tried it all as well? Like, we
yeah,
want to sleep.
Everyone
Like,
says the same thing though, that it gets to the point where you're like, "Oh, I hadn't thought of that." You
yeah,
start to get to the point it's like, "Oh, really?"
yeah.
Because you're like, "Oh, yeah, no, I hadn't thought to
I had a
give them a
thought to
bath
try.
and
Yeah,
before their bed and try lavender oil and to try
yeah,
no screens and to try whatever." I mean, yeah, it's again, it's without being trying to like be so pleasant to other people, but my face is really bad. I don't know if you're the same.
yeah.
I can't hide my thoughts.
No,
It's like I can
because
like my eyes roll
it
that
for
far back and I see the
years.
whites.
Yeah, because we've had it for years, and it's like, do you know, it just gets to a point where you're like, "Oh, I can't listen to it anymore," because
Mm,
it's like you just want to vent sometimes, and you don't
yeah,
want somebody to come in, "Have you tried? Have you tried? Have you tried?" You just wanna let it out.
yeah,
And I think, again, I think it's, people are trying to be helpful and stuff because you don't know what to say when somebody's like, "This is shit, this is all going wrong." You want to be able to help in some
yeah,
way, but
and give a
they
solution.
can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Or the
sometimes
most
we're
helpful way would be, "Can you take the kids for a bit?" But nobody seems to wanna bloody do that ever.
take them to the supermarket and just pretend you don't know them. There's your
Yeah.
outing.
I'm gonna try and tie a balloon to them or something, like you said, so you could just see them going around
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's honestly my friend last week. She was honestly mortified. Well, listen, I will let you go,
Oh,
and go
thank
and do
you
your.
so
It was
much for
lovely chatting
having
with you.
me. Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for having me on, my love.